The biggest disappointments of 2024. I'm Attila, your host, and you're listening to Movie Prosecutioners. Let's go. Okay. Really weird. I didn't think I will make this episode. I didn't think I will choose a topic like that, but I'm going to do that because when I kind of searched for my top 10 best movies, I saw so many top lists and I was like, this is in a top list. This is atrocious. So I was like, okay, I want to make a episode about all these movies that I was disappointed because I was like your predecessor was so much better. Why are you so bad? And I don't know. I will talk about a few movies that I haven't watched, just so that I cover it for the people who watch them. But I will explain briefly why I didn't watch them. But now I'm just talking about the ones I watched first, and then about the few ones that were disappointments for people who watch them. So let's start with Moana 2 or Vaiana 2 or Ocean 2. There are a lot of different titles for this movie, but in general it's the Hawanese, Indonesian. Oh wow, I don't know, but tropical island kind of themed movie, and I don't know, this kind of animation Disney movie, and I was like, I actually loved the first one. It's weird, but it's there are so great songs. It's so amazing, and kind of this basic theme of going out in the world, and I don't know, the sea and everything in this movie, in the first one was kind of intriguing, and every song of this movie, basically every song, was a real banger, and had his was used in the right place. And I was going into the second movie, and I was kind of what are these songs? Why are they just average and okayish? And why are the animation was great, but the animation was just punctual great. You had some islands, and then around that there was nothing, and it was so often there was nothing going on around the main characters, and it was I was really disappointed. It was still beautiful, but I felt they could have put more work in the surroundings. In the first movie we had this underwater world with a really strange, crazy stuff, and everything was kind of new, and I really loved the first movie. And the second one was just took the ideas that they already had and was nothing new, and a lot of characters. At the beginning you got an antagonist, that was at the end no antagonist, and no, it was in so many so many moments in this movie I was why I'm watching this, what is that, why are these characters not interesting for me, what do they do there? And I actually heard, I was listening to another podcast, and I said, okay, it's because that was actually meant to be a series, and then they just tried to make a movie out of this because they thought they couldn't get a lot of money out of this. And they did make a gigantic amount of money out of this, and this is okay. Movies that work great, that's wonderful. But there should be movies who are a little bit more ambitious, and I don't know, try to make better stories. The story was so weird, and I was the first time, I didn't understand at the end why she's going there. They're her ancestors say to her that she should go. In the first movie it was more practical. It was more okay, we are attacked, we have to find the cause of the attack. We don't understand. If we cannot eat anymore, what should we do? We have no coconuts anymore, we have no fish anymore, and so there was active pressure. It was not a fantastic idea, but it was a good like a good cause for her actually to change something, to do something. And in this movie, it was like, why is she doing this? Like, because her ancestors, and then her ancestors like this big fish, and I was like, this movie is so, like, the more I think about it, the worse it gets, and that's really bad. And so it's like, really, Moana 2 is like looking good. Like, you have a few good jokes that is kind of keeping the mood up, but that's it. And I think I really did like this movie. um yeah, the second big disappointment was Gladiator 2. And I generally think this movie is not bad, but the more I think about it, the more I'm sad that it's just such a copy of the first one. And the first one is one of these groundbreaking movies, one of these goosebump movies that you don't forget. And the second one has goosebump moments, but it's like just just like the same but less good. And this is kind of sad, and I don't like that. So it kind of became a disappointment. It's not a bad movie, and I think you can enjoy it, but it could be better. The same goes with Furiosa. Okay, with Furiosa, it's kind of the same relationship. The last Mad Max movie was like so great, it made a new standard about action movies, and this one is just like okay-ish. It's kind of the backstory of this one character that has like this heroic moment that showed women can be vulnerable and strong, and now we make a backstory on her, and I don't know, like, it was just okay. And so I was like, it was disappointing, because I hoped so much that this would be like a great movie. I have to admit, the antagonist was kind of funny. I did like him. And I don't know, since Queen's Gambit, I'm kind of a sucker for the actress who's playing the protagonist. But still, it was like they had some light, some good moments, but there should be more than some good moments. For like, I was disappointed, but it was not as bad as Moana. But I think it was disappointing. And the next one was like really also disappointing. It was Argylle. In Argylle, I really like the humor of the Kingsman movies, and so I was like really looking forward to this, especially because I like Henry Cavill, and I liked the other actors. Like, for example, a big part in this movie is also played by Sam Rockwell. So I was like, okay, this is gonna be great. I'm gonna have fun. I would just watch this and like turn off my brain and have fun. But it was not working, and it was like kind of sad. I was like, I was like basically sleeping in this movie, and then I woke up again, and I was like, okay, this is just not really interesting. And I was like, okay, I'm just going. It's sad. It's I don't know. I think the idea basically was like used in the last few years quite a few times. Like, someone is writing a book, and this book is like kind of having an effect on reality, because like there's some information that are like very precious, or maybe it's forming reality or whatever. Like, this kind of happened. I think like something like Treasure Island the year before, and then we had like one of these other movies with Brendan Fraser a few years ago. So it's like, I don't know, I was not that like intrigued by the idea, and then the movie was kind of boring and not fun, and a comedy that is not fun, that's really bad. So much about Argylle. And now we come to the biggest disappointment, and that was Megalopolis for me. I was really looking forward to this movie. Like, I really like Adam Driver. I watched a few Francis Ford Coppola movies that are just amazing, and I was like so sad when I watched it. I was like, because I was thinking like, what the fuck? I was so often like thinking, well, what the fuck, this is not making sense. And then they gave me some light in between like darkness, then they had like, at the beginning I was really liking like the scene where he reversed time, and then he got like the first scene where you get to see Adam Driver. I was like, okay, everybody was like, talking shit, this is gonna be a great movie, and then you have this monologue, and then I was like, yeah, this is great, and then I was like, no, this is really bad, right? Why don't you stop talking? And I was like even in the movie I was like, okay, why are there so much good and so much bad stuff in here, and why can't I not decide to do this like better? Why couldn't they like stop at some moment with some things, and why couldn't they like there were so many topics in this movie as well, and so many unclear things that you cannot you don't know what to think about that now. And also the characters are arrogant and weird and not clear, and like some of them are so naive and so not developed or overdeveloped. It's just like a total chaos. And I'm happy that they actually made this movie. I think it could have been like, there could be a montage where they actually have, right, they could actually make a great movie out of this. I don't know, like do some special effects team on this, give them a lot of money and a lot of time, and then give it some editor who's like cutting out like a few of these like overboarding dialogues and a few scenes that they don't need, and I think you could actually have a really great movie. But the version that I was seeing in the cinema was shit. And I don't like, for example, like the whole scene with the drugs. What the fuck? Like, why was that in there? It makes no sense. And I don't know, like also the like this kind of creation that Adam Driver, like the character of Adam Driver did. Like, why the fuck was this able to cure him, make a perfect city, whatever? Like, this was like God's present to humanity, and I was like, it was not making sense. And I was like, all the time in this, I was like nearly running out of the cinema so that I'm not screaming at my neighbor there. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I don't know, this movie was really challenging me to not I don't know, like quitting the cinema, like just going out and just running off, because it was like so weird. And sadly I will forget it very, like, if I wouldn't have seen it in a top 10 list of somebody and wouldn't have been like so angry about it, I would have not known any more about it. So it's gonna be like, no, I'm like really sad it's not a great movie. And I'm really sad because a few times I was like, yeah, kind of, you get a point, and then there was like so much more that was not making a point, and that's kind of really sad. It's just like, if you cherry pick your moments in this movie, you can have like a good experience, but like there's so much trash in there that you cannot survive. And that's that's for my top disappointments. I actually wrote down some of like people told me that they're disappointments, so I was not watching them. Like, we had like all of the Spider-Man antagonists movies, like Madam Web, or how is like the other one called with the vampire, like I don't even remember the names, but like Sony makes a lot of movies that have Spider-Man's antagonists in them, and they're like really, really bad. And so I was not watching them. There were two coming out this year, so I was not watching them, but everybody who watched them said they were bad. Then there was Borderlands, which was also like, everybody said it's bad, so I watched the trailer and was like, okay, I'm not intrigued, I'm not going to watch it. Then The Platform 2, The Platform 1, for everybody who has Netflix, is a really great movie, a very philosophical movie. I don't really like the ending, but everything else is fantastic. And it's about like, okay, how do people react if they have the possibility to have like a lot of like resources, but they do know that they deprive others from having these resources if they take them. And it's a really fantastic movie. I love it, the first one, but everybody said the second one is shit, so I was not watching it. Joker, the second one, everybody was saying this was shit. It has such a bad Metascore, it has such a bad score in all the platforms. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna watch it. Then there's like Red One and Back to Black, which got like average to disappointment scores, and I was like, maybe I will watch them at some point, but yeah, that's kind of it. I just wanted to talk about them briefly because some people will say like, okay, why didn't you mention? But I was not watching that because everybody in my environment, my friends or people on the internet, everybody was saying they're bad, so I was not watching that. Like there is actually interesting about this year is that there was like so many, like for me, second parts. Moana, Gladiator, Furiosa is for me kind of a second part. Like, it's kind of together with Mad Max Fury Road. And Dune 2 and Inside Out 2, the platform 2, like there are a lot of second parts this year. And actually Dune 2 and Inside Out 2 I didn't put on this list because I was like, I had expectations, and I was actually they actually met my expectations. So I was not thinking they are fantastic movies, but they were good. They were generally good movies, not fantastic, not bad. They did their job. I had fun. I was entertained. But in general, this year had a lot of I was actually really paying attention to people saying this movie is not worth your time, and I was not watching them. And other movies that were worth my time, I was watching them. And yeah, this is kind of it for me for this year. I hope you had fun as much as I had, and I hope you're tuning in next time. See you next year. Bye.